The boy hadn't eaten in 2 days. You could see it in his wrists. In the way he gripped that watch like letting go meant losing everything, because it did. He walked past 3 armed men to reach the counter. Nobody stopped him. Maybe because he was 7. Maybe because desperation has a smell, and even wolves recognize it. He placed the watch on the glass. "I'll take $50. The room didn't laugh. It went quiet, the wrong kind of quiet. The kind that happens right before something irreversible. The man in the back booth didn't look up from his documents immediately. He never rushed. Men like him didn't need to. Mateo Vargas controlled this city the way gravity controls falling. Invisibly, absolutely, without mercy. But something made him look up. Maybe it was the silence. Maybe it was instinct. He looked at the watch first. Then he looked at the boy. Then his second-in-command leaned close and read the inscription on the back aloud. "For Olivia. My forever. MV." The pen in Mateo's hand snapped clean in two. The boy's name was Noah Carter. 7 years old. Threadbare jacket. Shoes with a crack along the left sole. Eyes that had already learned to negotiate with a world that offered him nothing. He'd found the watch inside a locked box under his mother's bed. She'd told him once, in the hazy language of someone trying to prepare a child for the worst, "That box is for emergencies, baby. Real ones." His mother hadn't opened her eyes in 36 hours. That was real enough. Mateo approached the counter slowly. His bodyguards moved with him like a tide. The other men in the room found sudden interest in the floor. He crouched to the boy's eye level. This alone was enough to make his entire crew shift uncomfortably. Mateo Vargas did not crouch. Mateo Vargas did not lower himself. For anyone. Ever. "Where did you get this?" His voice was controlled. Surgical. Noah met his eyes without flinching. "My mom's room." "What's her name?" "Olivia. Olivia Carter." Mateo's jaw tightened like a locked vault. His second-in-command, Reyes, took one step forward. Mateo raised a single finger. "Stop." Everyone stopped. Mateo's men found the address in 8 minutes. A cramped apartment building on the south end of the city, the kind of neighborhood that existed in photographs of other cities' poverty. Cracked hallways. Buzzing fluorescent lights. A door with 3 different locks that still didn't feel safe. Olivia Carter lay on a mattress on the floor. For a line from a home kit. Empty pill bottles arranged neatly on the windowsill. Because even in crisis, she was organized. Even unconscious, she looked like someone who had been fighting for a very long time. Medical paperwork on the kitchen table told the story in cold, bureaucratic language. Treatment suspended. Outstanding balance, $43,000. Patient discharged against medical advice. She hadn't told a single person. She'd sent Noah to school every morning with a packed lunch, even when the cupboards were nearly empty. She'd kept the lights on, kept the pretense of safety alive for him. She'd been drowning in silence, for months, alone. Mateo stood in the middle of that small apartment and felt something he hadn't felt in years. He couldn't name it. He didn't try. "Get the medical team," he said. "Private. Overnight." "Sir, do you know this woman?" He didn't answer. Olivia woke to the sound of expensive machinery and the smell of something clean. Her first thought was Noah. She tried to move. A firm hand stopped her. "Your son is fine." The voice came before the face. Low. Certain. The kind of voice that didn't ask questions, it delivered verdicts. She turned, and the world tilted. Mateo Vargas sat 4 feet away. No expression. All presence. Like a storm that had decided to be still for a moment. "You're in my facility," he said. "You'll remain here until you're stable." "I didn't agree to this." "You weren't conscious to disagree." "I want to leave." "You want to go back to that apartment and die quietly so your son doesn't have to watch." His eyes didn't move. That's not an option anymore. Olivia's breath caught, not from fear, from the precision of it. He'd read her completely in seconds. She forced her chin up. "I don't know what you want from me. Right now?" He leaned forward slightly. "I want you to eat something. We'll discuss everything else when you have the strength to argue properly." He stood, straightened his jacket. "You'll find you don't have many choices here, Olivia." He said her name like he'd said it before, like it lived somewhere in his mouth already. He told himself he was handling a loose end. The watch had been a gift, private, personal, the only soft thing he'd ever allowed himself. Its disappearance 8 years ago had been filed away as a mystery he'd stopped pulling at. He told himself finding Olivia Carter was simply a matter of closing an open account. Then Noah found him in the corridor at 7 a.m. The boy was carrying a bowl of cereal, navigating the marble floors of a building worth more than his entire neighborhood, completely unintimidated. You have a lot of guards, Noah observed. Yes. Are they for protection or for show? Mateo looked down at him slowly. Both. Noah considered this. My mom says men who need a lot of security are usually afraid of something they did. The corridor was very quiet. Your mother says that? She says a lot of things when she thinks I'm not listening. Noah took a spoonful of cereal. Are you afraid of something you did? Mateo held the boy's gaze for a long, still moment. Something fractured behind his eyes. Quiet. Deep. He turned and walked back to his office, closed the door, and sat without moving for 11 full minutes. Then he opened a drawer he hadn't opened in 8 years. Inside the drawer, a photograph, a letter, and a report he'd commissioned and then buried because the answer had been too clean, too convenient. He read the report now with new eyes. 8 years ago, Olivia hadn't disappeared. She'd been erased. His former partner, a man Mateo had elevated, trusted, made wealthy, had orchestrated it. Olivia had discovered financial records that implicated him in a trafficking operation Mateo would have burned the city down to stop. She'd been preparing to bring them to Mateo directly. She never got the chance. She'd been threatened. Her family endangered. She'd been given 48 hours to vanish, permanently, or the people she loved would be used to send him a message. She hadn't run from Mateo. She'd run to protect him. She'd been pregnant when she left. Noah. The math was simple. 8 years ago, 7-year-old boy, his son. Mateo pressed the report flat against his desk. His hands were completely steady, but his eyes, in the privacy of that locked room, were devastating. Reyes, he said into the intercom. Sir, Carlo Mendez. Find him. Bring him to me. He's been your ally for 6 years. He's been a ghost for 6 years, Mateo said softly. He just didn't know I'd figure out the haunting. He came to her room at midnight. Olivia was sitting up, stronger now, 2 days of rest and real food doing what months of survival couldn't. She'd been expecting him. She'd known, from the moment she woke up and saw his face, that the clock was ticking on a conversation she wasn't ready to have. You found out, she said. Everything. Then you understand why. I understand what he told you. His voice was quiet, not cold. That was new. I understand you believed him. I understand you made an impossible choice alone. I made the only choice that kept you alive. You made a choice that took 8 years from us. He stopped at the foot of her bed. From him, Olivia's composure cracked, just at the edges. I didn't know if you'd want. Don't, he said. The word was soft, but absolute. Don't finish that sentence. Silence filled every inch of the room. He asked me this morning if I was afraid of something I did, Mateo said. Olivia closed her eyes. What did you say? I walked away. He exhaled slowly. I should have said yes. The power in that room didn't belong to him anymore. It sat quietly between them, shared, fragile, and terrifying. He started rearranging his schedule. It was subtle, the way all dangerous things begin. Meetings pushed back. Calls unreturned. Reyes noticed first and said nothing because Reyes valued his continued existence. Mateo found reasons to be in whatever room Olivia was in. He told himself it was security, proximity, tactical awareness. Then Noah beat him at chess. Twice. And Mateo stayed at that table for 2 hours, losing deliberately on the third game just to watch the boy's face when he won honestly on the fourth. You let me win that one, Noah said flatly. I did not. You moved your queen wrong on purpose. Mom does that too. Noah reset the pieces. It's okay. It means you care. Mateo looked at his son, and felt the word land in his chest like a stone in deep water. That night, Olivia found him standing outside on the terrace. She stood beside him without speaking. He's extraordinary, Mateo said finally. I know. You did that. We did that, she said quietly, even when only one of us knew it. The space between them was dangerous and magnetic and neither of them moved, because moving meant choosing, and neither was ready for the weight of what they'd choose. Carlo Mendez moved first. A message arrived, routed through 3 dead channels to Mateo's private server. Clean. Professional. Chilling. You found what I buried. Now I'll take what you found. The boy first. Then the woman. Consider it a refund. Mateo had the compound locked down in 4 minutes. He reached Olivia's room. She was already awake, already holding Noah, already reading the room the way someone reads it when they've been running long enough to recognize a closing trap. "It's him, isn't it?" she said. "He won't touch you." Mateo, his name in her mouth. First time. It stopped him cold. "He told me 8 years ago that you'd choose the Empire over us. That men like you don't save people, they consume them." He was describing himself. "I know that now." Her voice broke slightly. "But I need you to know that I'm terrified, not of him, of what protecting us costs you." Mateo crossed the room, took her face in both hands, gently, like something sacred, like something he'd broken once by being careless and refused to break again. "The Empire," he said quietly, "was never the point." Noah pressed his face against Mateo's side, and Mateo held both of them in the middle of a war he was about to finish. Carlo Mendez was brought in before dawn. Mateo handled it quietly, efficiently, the way he handled all things that needed to disappear. But before it was over, Carlos said one more thing. "You think this is finished? I wasn't the only one protecting the operation 8 years ago. You have someone in your circle right now, someone who's been watching the woman since she woke up, waiting to see what you'd do." Mateo said nothing. Carlo was removed. Mateo stood alone in the gray morning light and turned the information over. Someone current, someone close, someone who knew Olivia was here before he told anyone outside his innermost circle. He walked back toward the compound. Olivia was in the garden with Noah, morning light on both of them, his son chasing something across the grass, her watching with the quiet, exhausted joy of a woman who'd fought too long to take peace for granted. She looked up when she saw him. Read his face instantly. "It's not over," she said. "Not yet. But we're still here." He looked at her for a long moment. "Yes," he said. "We're still here." He sat beside her, and somewhere inside the compound, in a room with a clear view of the garden, a phone was lifted silently, and a message was sent. He knows. Move to phase 2. Here is the truth that this story tells. Slowly, painfully, and without mercy. Love doesn't disappear when it's abandoned. It hides. It survives in locked boxes. It walks through dangerous doors in the body of a 7-year-old boy with cracked shoes and a $2 million secret. Olivia Carter didn't run because she was weak. She ran because she loved someone powerful enough to destroy everything, including himself, to protect what was his. And she couldn't let that happen. Mateo Vargas didn't become cold because he stopped feeling. He became cold because the one thing that made him feel human vanished without explanation, and powerful men don't grieve. They calcify. But Noah Carter existed. And Noah Carter walked into a room full of wolves with cereal and chess moves and questions that cut like surgery, and cracked open 2 people who had sealed themselves shut. The most dangerous thing in the underworld wasn't a weapon. It was a child who refused to stop believing his mother deserved to be saved. Power is loud. Love is quiet. But love, real love, outlasts everything. It just sometimes needs a 7-year-old to deliver the message. That night, Noah asked Mateo one question at bedtime. "Are you going to stay this time?" Mateo opened his mouth. And for the first time in his life, the most feared man in the city had no answer. You just watch part 1. The betrayal inside the circle hasn't been uncovered. Olivia and Mateo haven't found solid ground. And Noah, sweet, brilliant, fearless Noah, has no idea how much danger his question just stirred up. This story is far from finished. Subscribe to Love in the Underworld right now, because part 2 is coming, and you cannot afford to miss what happens next. The Underworld doesn't forgive. But love doesn't forget.